Hey everybody, it's Chris from Invest LYH, and I'm going to go over a presentation that I gave to the Lynchburg Real Estate Meetup on Monday. And I did it in some slides. When I gave it on Monday, I didn't use the slides, I just used a whiteboard, and many of you who have watched me here know that I enjoy drawing out a lot of the different aspects of the real estate market. So let's just jump into it really quickly. Give me just a second to share my screen. And I wanted to explain one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is because I did submit some of the statistics to Mike Zuber, who many of you who watch me have watched him. And he's been talking about it over the last few days. And I know that I also had mentioned to him that I would be doing this, but I want to make sure that I let you guys know what I've come up with, and what I'm entitling the commoditization of listings. And when we think about commodities, we think about something like oil or gold. And what's happening in the media is they are thinking that real estate is like this, and we all know that it's not. So let's take a quick look. This is a video today that I watched, and they mentioned it, so I just wanted to kind of showcase that. But I'm just going to go through my slides that I created for the event. This is what I'm going to go over: who I am, what economists do, what they don't do, why it's important to listen to me. We're just going to talk a little bit about Econ 101. Basically, we're going to go into macro and micro, and we're going to understand the market through those two lenses. And then we're going to look at some simple statistics, and the micro aspect plays a role. If you guys have any economic predispositions, you understand that it has to do with marginality. Who am I? This is me at my cookie shop. We owned a cookie shop in Frisco, Texas. We had 21 flavors every day back there. They were 5-ounce cookies. Loved them. Just being a business owner was not for me. I'm a better worker, and I learned that pretty quickly. And I said, let's hit the reset button, figure out a way to get back into the workforce, and let's figure out our retirement in a different way. We chose the retirement route of getting a business. I was going to grab my Rich Dad cash flow quadrant, but we decided something different after we tried the cookie shop. This is all true. I own small businesses. I have been part of a union. I worked for the government at the Department of Interior. I was in the U.S. military. I worked in corporate America at several different large financial firms. And now I work at an education institution. I have a degree in applied economics, and I'm working on my PhD in business leadership. I've worked in the predictive analytics arena using both regression and machine learning analysis. And for that, what we did is it was in healthcare, and we found pathways of care. And it was very interesting. But I do not do that anymore. I kind of like data analytics, but one thing that they forget to tell you is that when you're doing analytics for data, the analytics is about 15%, and the rest is cleaning. It's not always that fun. Yes, I have lived in Massachusetts, Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Texas, and now in Virginia. And aside from my wife, I've also lived in Mississippi and Pennsylvania. So I've been around a lot of places. Talking quickly about economics, we're going to talk a little bit about the secrets of economics, but what I did at the event is I explained what economists do and what they don't do by using this. I said, if there's a home built in 1950 and one built in 1996, which one has lead pipes? Everybody said the one in 1950. And I said, is the date a predictor? And everybody said no. And why do they say that? Because they know it's just something that's closely associated. But economists always get called out for their predictions. And it's probably spelled incorrectly. Economists cannot make predictions, they make models. So they say outcome equals variable 1 plus variable 2 plus error. If this goes up and this goes up by a percentage of that, we can statistically say that this is a predictor. But there's a lot of gray area in that. I don't have I could probably get a gray pen, right? Yeah, a lot of gray in this. Okay. So what I said to them and what I'll say to you guys is economists can do some forecasting, but in general, when an economist does a forecast, it is by looking at past data. So what does that mean? That means that we know that lead pipes are more likely to be in 1950s homes than 1996 homes, because we know that from the past data. Is there a possibility that a 1950s home does not have a lead pipe? Absolutely. But because you're able to look at those models through the economic models through history, you can kind of identify things that cause changes or deltas, right? Changes in outcome. Okay, I'm going to go scroll back now. So now we're going to talk briefly about the kind of what we talked about there. And here it is right here. Economics they review relationships. They look at past outcomes to determine the inputs. This opens the door for predictions, but only if the assumptions in the model hold. That will be a critical point in this entire video. Only if the assumptions hold. Some principles, and then I kind of broke it down into macro and micro. There I did micro first, but I'm going to do it last here. And basically what we're talking about is the division of labor, which was in this book here, The Wealth of Nations. And some people think that it only applies to people who are working in the pin factory, but all labor provides supply. We all use some sort of work to add to the productive value of the economy. So I am calling it the division of supply. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. And then we're also going to talk about marginality, which we talked about a little bit earlier. And we're going to talk about that really towards the end. Why is it important? I wish I could have showed this slide there. Everybody's going to love this. Okay, because we all know this guy. I'm sure a lot of us know this guy, right? And what are they saying? Oh, right here. More likely that prices will drop. More likely that prices will drop. This guy's a big doomer. Doom. This guy here, our new white paper on in-depth analysis and exclusive coverage of critical trends. Well, and then the thing is like when I go to these meetings and I say, oh, well, on Twitter, I did this. A lot of people are like, oh, well, that's Twitter. Well, why is it important? Because look where these guys end up. We all know this. We all know that team there. This, I think, is CNN. What does it say right here? Perhaps settling back somewhere from peak levels. Okay. So that is why it's important to understand this. And luckily for me, because if you follow me on Twitter, you know I keep receipts. This guy here, he knows. Because the assumption here is that inventory is going up, which means prices are falling. And he's got the chart guy. Well, luckily for him, I have a very good memory. Let's take a look at this chart. What does it say here? Existing home sales inventory, median prices of homes from July 23 to January 24. Oh, here's that exact same chart. January 24, Jan 24. But right now it's 7/24. Oh, oh, that red arrow. It unfortunately jumped to green. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know? Sometimes they get it wrong. It's unfortunate that these guys get it wrong a lot. So let's go down. And here, and that's kind of what we're here. That's what I was there to talk about. Why are they getting it wrong? Well, an economist understands the assumptions that are used in the supply and demand market. When we talk about the supply and demand, I think I have a slide on it later. Maybe I did this at the presentation a little different. The supply in the housing market equals listings. And these people are saying that all listings are the same. And we're going to get into that a little bit later. But when we talk about assumptions of the market, this is a huge assumption that everybody forgets. This is where the commoditization of listings comes into play. They are saying that it's right here. Let's do blue. Assumed to be identical, all supply. Supplier do not prefer one supplier based on the product differences. So what they're saying is that listing differences are no concern. Oh, not concern of buyers. I don't agree. And I think the market is telling us that. And then we'll get into this part later. So if we were to take the division of supply, if we're to take the supply and we are to talk a little bit about it, this slide here is a little different because it's very hyper local to the Lynchburg area, but this is national. Supply is what in the real estate it's listings. There's two areas here in Lynchburg, Boonesboro and College Hill, and I own a property in both. And I asked them, are they equal? And I got a lot of laughs because wherever you live, you know that there's certain markets that are different than others. There are a little more higher appreciating markets and there are better cash flow markets. And we all know what that means. So let's take a look at some homes here in Lynchburg. All right. Yeah, okay, real quick before we look at those. Again, why are these analysts getting it wrong? They don't understand the segmentation of the market, and they assume that all listings are commodities. They're homogeneous products. There is no uniqueness. So you guys tell me. Here's a few properties in Lynchburg, and here's a few properties in Lynchburg. So these guys are telling me that these are equal. They're all the same. Because they're not saying, when we look at these stories, these news stories, right? Are they saying that the inventory is in 100K or below? Are they saying that it's median or below? Right? They are not. So let's get back down to the slides. I'm trying to make this as quick as possible. I had an hour to do this. I did do it pretty quickly then, but I kind of wanted to just go through it. Let's talk quickly about supply and demand basics, Econ 101. Okay, you guys have seen me talk about this before. Equilibrium is where demand and supply meet, where we get a price for a certain quantity. Now, what they are saying, these people, is they're saying that this supply curve is going to shift outward to supply 2 because listings are growing. And if you guys don't know about supply and demand, the 0 is here. So whenever something is growing, it is going away from the 0. So it's going outwards. So if demand were to grow, it would shift out that way as well, but I'm going to go ahead and remove that one. And so what happens there is the pressure on the price is down. It creates a new quantity, higher quantity, at a lower price. Price 2 for quantity 2. This is what the people in the 80s would call the supply siders, because they believe that by increasing the supply of things, you would decrease prices and increase purchasing power of the consumers. So this is what they're saying. Well, when I did my analysis, I took the median sale price of Lynchburg. And you can see it here. It's 275,000. Okay. What is median, right? A lot of people there, I don't know how well versed they are in statistics. Median is in the middle. So that means that 50% of the sales were below and 50 were above 275,000. In a normal market, what does that look like? It looks like this. Cheapest home is to the left, most expensive home is to the right, 275 is right dead in the middle. What did it look like in Lynchburg? Well, you all know if you watch Mike's daily financial news yesterday, I think, and that video that I had up there today. This is what it looks like. And we can see here that 1/3 of all the listings are to the left of or less than 275,000. 2/3 are to the right, my right, maybe your left if you're watching that, or they're above 275K. What does this tell me? This tells me that people are putting their homes on the properties at wish pricing. And we're going to talk about that a little bit, but we're going to jump into some micro economics because we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about, let me get over here and we're going to talk about, let's talk about this first. Why are we not a commoditized market? Commodities like oil and gold, they assume one exit. They are brought to market for one exit, to be sold. All right, I read over there, to be sold. Listings are not commodities because they have two exit strategies. And I had an agent come up to me after the event and say they actually have three because they can just be taken off the market or they can expire. I am lumping those two into the pulled market, but that's just mincing words in my opinion. To them it's different, to the general consumer and to people looking at the market in general, it's the same thing. Commodities, they have one area. You don't bring oil to the market to let it sit. You bring oil to the market to get it sold. Why do people pull listings now? Because if there's a second choice, now since there's a choice, it brings into something that is in economics. Am I spelling this wrong? CHOICE, right? It brings in something called marginality. And I don't have my book here, but Alfred Marshall, another great economist. Yeah, and if you guys don't notice, a lot of these economists are older. What does that tell you about today's economists? Anyway, he came up with that. And what does that mean? So this is the pathway of a buyer. Pathway of a buyer. Buyer comes into the market, they get an entry-level home. I call this the lowest 25th percentile. Then they move up. They got a growing family. they have a higher income, a promotion, they might move up again, right? They got a really good role at their work. They have aging children or even more children, and they might move up again. Now, this you can add for a family 8x, you can add 2x to this. But in general, people do not buy their entry level home and stay in it for 30 years. What's the number? It's like it used to be 7 to 12 years. What is it now? Probably like 9 to 15 years in a home. But this is the pathway of the buyer. They move up once, they move up twice, they possibly move up third, or they go to a luxury market based on like I have here, right? Higher income level, or possible second home. Now, if we take this and we understand that this is the pathway of the buyer, and now we take these percentiles and we say, can we put this on the market? What we do is we just create, I think it might be over to the right. And it is, hold on. Sorry, guys. So if we were to take these percentiles and we just added them to the market, hold on, where is it? I know I have it on here. Oh, did I not put it in? I must have cut and pasted it and I didn't paste it. All right, so let's do all right, so let's do this. So if we were to take the market that we have and we were to just break it up into these 25% points, this would be median. And if we know the sales price is 275K, this is in general where you're going to see a lot of the action in the market in that entry level move up one. And you might see a little less action here. And then up here, you're going to see very little. You're not going to see a ton of things there. The other thing about this is this market has a supply curve and a demand curve. So does this market. Let's erase this guy. Okay. And we're going to do that for all four. And here's the thing, everybody. This market, entry level and move up, are seeing demand increase. What does that do to the price? It puts from price 1 upward pressure to price 2 at higher quantities. This is what people forget. Price 1. There is a scenario where the demand is higher and it's going to push that price out because the supply is limited. But they're going to, at the entry level point, it could increase transactions and price. Is that what's happening today? No. Why? Because demand for this is staying the same, but supply is shifting outward. And when we get a sale here, a lower price for quantity 1, sorry. Quantity 1 is over here. Quantity 1, quantity 2, price 2, price 1. Sorry, guys. I'm going to redo this one because I don't want to lose this point. What's happening out here, we have a supply and a demand curve. It's actually a two-pronged approach. The supply is moving out to S1, putting downward pressure on the price. These guys want to buy these homes. So it's shifting the demand, or no, yeah, they want to buy them, but they cannot because they can't sell their homes. So it's shifting the demand backwards, which now we are on the red line here. It's pushing downward pressure on the price, where we're going to have fewer quantity 2, and we're going to have lower prices, price 2. This price cut can't put that on there. Price cut could be like $50,000 in Lynchburg. Right, for like Vegas or LA, it could be 500,000. And what's going to happen is, because that sale is established, it doesn't matter about all of these price increases down here, because this will pull the median up. So we're having less transactions and increased prices. Okay, little technical, and I'm sorry about that. So let's stop talking about that. Let's go back to marginality. Why are people pulling their listings? Because they are not getting the price they had hoped for. And even if they do, they talk to other people. Now, I came up with this based on a channel that I saw on, I think it was on TikTok. Somebody sent it to me. I'm going to read this. So I want you guys to just kind of listen. So in Alexandria, Virginia, it's a very wealthy area. Let's say somebody bought their home in 2020 for $350,000. Okay. They put, they got 2.5% payment. So their payment is $1,850, and their loan was $320,000. Fast forward to 2024. Their home has shot up in value. It is now valued at $550,000. If their taxes and their insurance went up, and excuse my spelling there. So to stay in their home, the $1,850 payment has now gone up to $2,100. Okay. They decide to sell. They're going to sell their $550,000 home. They're going to pay off their mortgage, which at this point is $260,000. With closing costs, they're going to receive in cash, let's go green, $238,000. They're going to use this on a down payment for the new property, $100,000 higher than the home they just left. Just a modest jump. And what happens is, after their closing costs, their loan amount will be $412. I'm going to write it down here, but give me a second. Remove that. So we can see here that their new mortgage payment is loan at 7%. And their new payment, do I have anything even worse than red? Let's do gold. Their new payment, $3,650. We're talking about microeconomics here, marginal choice. Are you going to trade 21 for 36.50? And you put in $238,000 into the home. People will not make that choice. And I think that's what I kind of talked about when I was there. And we can see right here, it's clear as day. Applying the down payment of about 37% down payment, it increased their mortgage by $1,500. That is ridiculous. the benefits do not outweigh the cost, which is how you look at marginality. So one thing that Mike did discuss on the daily financial news, he said, well, is it accurate? This is my search on Redfin. This data was from June 14th. And I did pull it again on July 8th to see if there was any changes. There were a few changes. Actually, the sold price increased since then. So, but it was only like, I think 10 listings. So again, could that be the higher price coming down, pulling up the median? I don't know. But you can see, I'm going to go ahead and do this really slowly, because if anybody wants to look these properties up, a lot of them could be still be listed right now. And they're there. You just got to look them up. They're on Redfin. It's 200 and something properties. I know that much. So I'm going to kind of scroll through them. And as I do, I'll just tell you guys, I appreciate you guys watching the video. If you have any questions or you ever want to talk about the market, your market, and talk about analysis and how I think about things when I go through these, please feel free to reach out. I do not mind it at all. And then one last thing here, you can see that some of these say Forest and some of these say Rustburg and Bedford and Madison Heights. Basically, I wanted a good circle around Lynchburg. And I'm going to show you that as soon as we're to the end here. That's in case you guys want to pause and look at these, go ahead and do so. And if you want to verify these, please do. But I want to show you the area, and I'm going to say one last thing. So yeah, so Lynchburg is basically like right here, but then we have like Madison Heights over here, Forest over here, Rustburg over here, Bedford's kind of, or Bedford I think is up here actually, and Forest is like over here, sorry. So I wanted a good all-encompassing area around Lynchburg to kind of get a good set. Now, real quick, I did say sold price. So when we look at the 275K, it is the solds. That means that the lowest sold was 50%, or 50% were below the 275, and the highest was above it. The listings are in these increments. Okay. So now we have 2/3 above and 1/3 below. Now, when I looked on July 8th and they pulled up, that means that maybe we had like a couple sales right here, which is just incrementally pulling up the median, which then this will shift because we're adding here, which then 275 is going to come down over here, and the new listing price will be like 300. I don't remember the exact number, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing because I have finished. This is kind of where I said, okay, you guys got any questions? And I just want to tell you guys that I prepared about 5 questions that I thought I would get asked. Are we headed for a recession? When will mortgage rates come down? They asked none of them. They asked how apartment's gonna rent, or how our apartment rent's gonna affect my rent for my homes. Lynchburg is odd in that we have a very large university. It has a high online contingency, so when people see that, they assume that there's an influx of students that come here, and not always the case. I will say one thing about that university: it has recently began adding to the metrics that are used for measuring a city's economic output. It used to not provide those. The private university, it does not have to provide them. It's not like Virginia Tech, which is publicly owned, which means they have to provide their economic impact report. Private universities do not need to do that. So like in Waco, Texas, Baylor University does not necessarily need to give Waco any information. Liberty has given Lynchburg now some of that information. and they're going to be publishing reports with outside sources showing the impact of the university. So I think that companies are starting to see this area as a viable option. And there's a couple of great companies here. Framatome is one, BWXT is another, a couple other ones. Again, I've only been here for this. I'm almost in my third year, so I don't know every company in the place, but it's very good. Let's see here. I think I'm at 36. Yeah, I did it my presentation in about 30 minutes. I was given an hour, and then I just asked for questions and gave some answers. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, please let me know. I know this was long. I appreciate it. If you're here to the end, please let me know how I'm doing. I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much.